Ponytown is full of all kinds of wonderful commands that help you out greatly, from just simply being able to roll dice, to being able to set the time to night, or even setting the time or season to day or winter. There is a lot of commands in Ponytown that can help you out tremendously, either with building or all kinds of role plays and things like that. But what are some niche Ponytown commands? What are some commands in Ponytown that basically no one uses, or presumably no one would use because it's so niche and it's like, why is it even a command? Well, let's start off with one of the oldest, nichest commands. A long time ago, you didn't used to have this swap button option in the top right of the screen. A long time ago, you had to leave the game, such as by doing this, just hitting this, and then leave, and then switch your character here, and then go back in the game. That used to be how you had to switch characters. It just was the way you did it. There was no other way around it, except there was a command for it. And that command still persists to this day. The command is /swap. If I type in /swap and then type in birthmark like so. Oh, I did not type in his name properly. Type in birthmark /swap birthmark and then hit enter. It will immediately switch me to birthmark. And then if I hit /swap Skella Bones, it'll immediately switch me to Skella Bones. Isn't that amazing? Now, it is a little bit strange because, as you can see, I am Skella right now. If I type in swap Skella Bones, I'm already using this character, even though I use capitalization instead of lowercase, and even though I have several other characters in here called Skella Bones, I just straight up cannot switch to it. So I can prove that by just typing in Skella Bones here. I have this Skella Bones, this Skella Bones, this Skella Bones, and then the rest of them are Skella Bones, but they also have extra names on them. So I have 3 different Skella Bones, and for whatever reason, the command, at least from what I can understand, seems to favor the oldest version of that character. For example, again, if I type in /swap birthmark, just like I did before, it'll switch me to this birthmark. This is the oldest existing birthmark that I have, and literally the oldest character in my entire swap list. But again, even though I'm birthmark and type in /birthmark, I can't switch to the other birthmark, even though I have another one in there. I'm really not sure if this is intentional. I feel like it is. It could definitely use with a little bit of updating, and it could definitely be used for, I don't know, something. But it's very niche, and I genuinely don't think anyone ever uses this command because we just have a swap button here, and it's super easy to just click on it and then choose your character from there. So it kind of outlived its usefulness, and I really don't think anyone even knows this command exists. Another command that I feel is used often, but not that often, is the /unstuck command. So if I come in here and then, I don't know, lock myself in right here. Oh no, I can't get out. Whatever will I do? There's literally no way out of this. It's impossible. I don't have any ability to escape this. It's impossible. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is a command called /unstuck. So if I type in /unstuck like so, it'll respawn me at spawn point. The way it does this is actually really weird in my opinion, because if you hit unstuck, it just makes you leave the game. I really don't know why it does that. In my opinion, it should just straight up teleport you to spawn point, in my opinion. I don't know why it decides that it's just gonna kick you from the game. But now, after leaving due to getting stuck, you can hit play on that same server you were just on, except this time, it respawns you at docks for some reason. Why did it do it at docks? Hang on. Is it because I was on the island? Is it because I was on the island? Yeah, I guess if you're on the island, it respawns you at the docks, and if you're on the island somewhere, it respawns you at the respawn point, the main spawn of Ponytown. I actually didn't know that until literally just now, so that's kind of interesting. That's pretty cool. But either way, I feel people don't really use this command because it's kind of hard to get stuck in this game. Oh my god. I just sneezed like 3 times. I just sneezed like 3 times. Oh my god. What the fuck was I even saying? The unstuck command. The unstuck command I feel people don't actually use because it's kind of hard to get stuck in this game. Unless you're on your party island, you're basically never getting stuck. And you're only going to get stuck on your party island if for some reason you don't have map editing abilities. And if you don't have map editing abilities, then how did you end up getting stuck in the first place? It's kind of a niche command because I feel like it's very difficult to get stuck, and when you do, it's extremely easy to just get out of the situation without having to use a command. Goodness gracious. Now the air is on now, so you're just gonna have to deal with that for the rest of the video because I have to deal with that. So that means you have to deal with that. So moving on to another niche command that people I don't generally think use that much. Now this one may be a little bit useful because I think people use it in like Mafia games possibly and stuff like that, but it's the clear chat commands. So if you type in /clear, you'll see that there is a handful of options here. First of all, we can clear the map, which is useful, but there's also weird things like clear chat, clear general chat, clear party chat, clear whisper chat. These do exactly how you think they would do. And look at our chat log right here. So if we look at the chat log over here, we see people saying like, she's going crazy, agreed, swag, and then it's like time set and blah, 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 all that other stuff right there. If I want to get rid of all of that, all I have to do is type in /clear chat, and it will clear all of the chat log messages. If I do that, boom, all of the chat log messages are now gone. There is a version of this for party and whisper and all kinds of other stuff. I really don't think people use this too much. I think realistically people are most likely clearing whispers, most likely are the most likely things that people are clearing is whisper chats, because again, like I said, people probably use it for things like Mafia or certain mini games where you have to whisper hosts and things like that. That's probably the only use case for it in my opinion, unless you just have a bunch of stuff in there and you really don't want to look at it. You can just clear it. And genuinely, I think people may not even know this command exists because it's so niche and I feel like there's basically no use for it. But let's take a look at another command, and this one's gonna sound like it's super helpful, but there's another command that should be helpful, but is really, really not. So to show this off the best possible way, I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit here. I'm gonna zoom out. Let's go ahead and go to full zoom 1. I'm gonna go all the way to zoom 1. This is the max zoom that you have as a non-supporter. If I type in /help, which is the command for this one here, you can see that it lists every single command in the game. It is helpful because it does that, but even if I zoom out all the way, like this is insane. I can zoom out all this much because of being a supporter. I can't even read this message anymore. And other players obviously can't either because it wouldn't even show for them anyway. But this is a list of every single command in the game. It is ridiculously huge. And it should be helpful, but because of how big the message is above your head, it's kind of not as helpful as you might think. Now, luckily, it does appear in the chat log. So if we go back to the chat log and scroll up here, and since we just cleared it, we can actually see right here, this is the list of all the commands. This is actually part of how I made this list right here, but suffice it to say, it shows off every single command in the game, and they're actually pretty interesting, I guess. This command is useful, but it's kind of hard to use because it covers up the entire screen. You have to zoom out an impossible distance to see all of it, and then if you don't want to do that, you have to look through your chat log, and if other people are around you, it's going to be buried away behind chat messages almost immediately if you're in the public area or something like that. So it's helpful, but I feel it could definitely be a little bit more helpful than it currently is. Now, there's a couple of other ones on this list too. Let's take a look at unlock leader, /unlock leader. What this does is it unlocks the leader. So right now, as you can see up here, I am the party leader and it's a lock symbol. That means no one else will be a party leader when I leave the game. Clarissa here won't be promoted to leader if I leave the game unless that's unlocked. So if I type in /unlock leader, it will, did I misspell it? Oh yes, I did. It's gotta be one word. Unlock leader will then unlock that, and now it's a crown symbol. Additionally, there is lock leader, which does the exact same thing. It just locks it instead. So obviously, this is also very niche because again, it's so much easier to just click on the symbol and then lock leader from here to unlock it, or hit the lock leader again to then lock it. So it's super easy to just do this that way. There's basically no reason for this to be a command. It just is a command for some reason. And genuinely, I don't think anyone uses it. Another one as well that I also feel is very niche is list maps. So if I type in /list maps, it will display all of the maps that I have. Again, if you're a supporter, it kind of is pretty difficult to see because you have to zoom out a ton to read all of it. But luckily, it does appear in the chat message just like the help message does. It's just, again, actually, it doesn't even show up in the what the fuck? That definitely is unintentional. 100%, there's no reason for that to not appear in my local chat, but for some reason it just doesn't. So you have to zoom out a lot. So if you can't read like really small text, this command is even more useless to you. But additionally, you just have your build menu. So you could just open up your build menu. You can scroll over here to the gear icon. This one may be a little unreasonable, but you click on that, then you go to the gear, and then you go to manage maps, and then it just lists all the maps there anyway. So like, what is the point of the command? I think it is at least a little bit more helpful than like unlock leader, because you don't have to press as many buttons. But there is another one that is also niche, and I genuinely don't think anyone does this. I think most people either just hit this big X right here to close out the tab, or they hit like a specific keybind, or they even just hit this gear icon up here and then hit leave. I think that's the majority of the way people leave the game, and I doubt anyone is leaving the game by typing in /leave. I very much doubt anyone uses that command at all. It's a very niche command, and I really don't think it's that useful, especially since you can just press a couple of buttons and you're there and you don't have to type anything. Another one that I don't ever see, I go on the public map all the time. I'm on the main map all the time, walking around, looking at some people, watching some people, seeing if I can find any cool, interesting things happening, and I can even do that right now. And as you'll notice, nobody is doing any kind of like specific emotes, if that makes sense, in their chat messages. I mean, literally, I'm going around right now and there's literally nobody even typing at all to begin with. But there is a command called /shrug. If I type in /shrug, like so, it'll bring up this message right here. I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever even use this ever in my life, unless I first used it in front of them and then they used it back to me afterwards or something. I genuinely don't think anyone ever uses that command. It's very niche. I never see anyone using that specific thing, and it's weird that it has a command for it, but there's not a command for like other weird things. Like, I don't know. It's weird because it's like an emote. It's like an emoji almost, but it's like made out of like symbols that you could do manually. I don't know why they chose this to be a command, but not other things that are similar to that. You know what I'm talking about? But it is a thing. Another niche command that I don't think anyone uses, and also is basically useless anyway, is /player counts. If you type in /player counts, it will display how many people are on the server and on the map. So there's 994 people on the server and only one on this map, which is me. If I then come to the main island right here and type in the same thing again, /player counts, it will tell me that there's 992 people on this server and there's 775 on this map, meaning the rest of them are either on a party island, the bakery, or somewhere else. And again, it's kind of useless because why do you need to know that information? There's basically no reason for you to need to know that. It's just useless in my opinion. Next up is all of the emote commands. So if I type in /sleep, I will then go to sleep. If I type in /sneeze, I will sneeze on somebody. All these kinds of emote commands I feel like are very niche because most people are probably just using the actual actions at the bottom of the screen. So for example, I have a sleep one right here and a sneeze one right here. I even have like a yawn one, but if I wanted to yawn with a command, I can type in /yawn. These are, I think, at least a little bit useful because some people may be using those versus actions, but come on guys, is anyone actually using it? Now, let's go on to the last one here. There is a couple of other things here, and it's all kind of the same thing. It's /limit commands. So if I type in /friend, it will show me my friend limits, which is kind of interesting because it shows you what the base is, and then it shows you what supporters get on each tier going forward. So supporter 4 gets 425. It even has like a little X there to show that that's what tier I'm on. The same thing is true for map, so I can do map limits, I believe. Yeah, map limits, and then it will show me the base for each different player based on whatever else there is. I promise you nobody is using wall limits. Let's be real here. Nobody is using wall limits in the game at all. But there's all kinds of other limit commands like map save limits and object limits and things like that. And maybe you can find some kind of use out of these because it shows you what people without supporter have. But genuinely, I doubt anyone is using this command at all. But this is just a list of 11 different commands that I think are very niche and that basically nobody uses in Ponytown. If you use any of these commands, please do let me know in the comments below. And if you found anything useful here, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all those wonderful things like that. Because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.